You're sitting in your living room right now. Maybe you have a cup of coffee in your hand. The news is playing on your phone. There's a war happening somewhere far away. You watch it, you feel something, then you scroll past it. But here's a question you've never really asked. When did this start? When did humans start going to war? The answer is far stranger than you think. Let's go back, way back, before cities, before farming, before written language, back to when your ancestors were walking across open grasslands, spears in hand, looking for food, looking for safety. Did they fight each other? Of course they did. Humans have always fought. But war is different. War is organized. War is planned. War is groups of people killing other groups of people for a reason. So when did that begin? You might think war is ancient. You might think it's been with us forever. But the truth is more complicated. For most of human existence, violence was personal. One person hitting another, one family fighting another. But war, that's something else entirely. And the first evidence of war might surprise you. In 1965, a researcher named Fred Wendorf made a discovery in Egypt. He was digging along the Nile River. He found skeletons, many skeletons. They weren't buried in a normal way. They were scattered, broken. Some had arrowheads stuck in their bones. Others had their hands tied behind their backs. Wendorf dated these bones to about 13,000 years ago. This was a massacre. But was it war? The site is called Jebel Sahaba. It's one of the oldest known battlefields in the world. At least 61 people died there. Men, women, children. Their bodies show signs of violent death. Projectile points embedded in bones. Skulls crushed. Limbs broken. But here's the thing. This happened thousands of years before farming existed. These people were hunter-gatherers. They didn't have armies. They didn't have kings. They didn't have countries. So what were they fighting about? This is where the story gets interesting. For decades, anthropologists believed that war started with agriculture. The idea was simple. Farming created property. Property created borders. Borders created conflict. You couldn't have war without something worth fighting over. Land, crops, water. It made sense. But Jebel Sahaba changed everything. These people were fighting over something else. So what was it? Some researchers point to climate change. Around 13,000 years ago, the world was warming up. Ice was melting. Sea levels were rising. The Nile River was changing course. People were being pushed into smaller areas. Resources were becoming scarce. And when resources become scarce, people fight. But is that war? Let's define war more carefully. War is not just fighting. War is organized violence between groups. It has leaders. It has strategies. It has goals. It's not just anger. It's not just revenge. It's political. So when did humans start doing that? The archaeological record gives us some clues. In Europe, there's a site called Nataruk in Kenya. It dates back 10,000 years. Skeletons there show signs of brutal violence. One man had a stone blade embedded in his skull. Another had a broken knee. A woman was found with her knees drawn up, as if she was trying to protect herself. This was not a fight. This was a killing. But was it war? Anthropologist Douglas Fry has studied these questions for decades. He argues that war is actually a recent invention. He points to hunter-gatherer societies today. Groups like the Hadza in Tanzania or the San in Botswana, these people live like our ancestors did, and they don't go to war. They have conflicts, they have arguments, they even have fights, but they don't have organized war. For Fry, this is important. It suggests that war is not hardwired into us. It's something we learned. But other researchers disagree. They point to chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are our closest living relatives. They sometimes form groups. They patrol their territory. They attack and kill chimps from other groups. This looks like war. It's organized, it's strategic, it's deadly. In the 1970s, researcher Jane Goodall documented a chimp war in Tanzania. It lasted 4 years. One group wiped out another. This happened in nature. No farming, no property, no nations, just violence between groups. So if chimpanzees do it, did our ancestors do it too? The evidence is mixed. Some stone tools are found with signs of use as weapons, but tools can be used for many things. A spear can be for hunting, it can be for self-defense, it can be for war. We can't always tell from the bones. Then there's the question of numbers. War requires many people. It requires coordination. It requires trust between strangers. This is actually rare in nature. Most animals don't do this. They fight one-on-one. They don't form armies. So when did humans develop the ability to do that? The answer might lie in our brains. Your brain has a remarkable ability. It can tell who is in your group and who is not. It happens in milliseconds. You see a face, your brain decides friend or enemy. This is called in-group bias. And it's not something you learn, it's something you're born with. Researchers like Mark van Vugt have shown that humans are wired to favor their own group. This may have helped our ancestors survive, but it also made war possible. So, when did the first real war happen? Some researchers point to a site in Germany. It's called the Rhine Valley Massacre. It dates back about 7,000 years. Archaeologists found a mass grave. At least 26 people were killed, mostly women and children. Their skulls were shattered by stone axes. This was not a battle, this was a massacre, and it happened during the early farming period. Farming had arrived in Europe. Villages were forming. Land was becoming valuable. People were killing for territory. Now we're getting closer to what we call war. But there's an even older site. It's in Turkey. It's called Çatalhöyük. This is one of the oldest cities in the world. It dates back 9,000 years. People lived there for thousands of years. And guess what? Archaeologists found almost no signs of warfare, no mass graves, no fortifications, no weapons. The people of Çatalhöyük lived without war for a very long time. How is this possible? Some researchers think it's because they had something to lose. They had art, they had trade, they had religion, they had culture. These things gave them reasons not to fight. War is costly. It kills your people. It destroys your resources. It's not always the best strategy. But then something changed. Around 5,000 years ago, large-scale warfare appears in the archaeological record. In Mesopotamia, in Egypt, in China, city-states formed, armies formed, kings emerged, and with them, war became organized, it became systemic, it became permanent. The first recorded war in history was between the Sumerian city-states. This was around 2700 BC. The king of Kish fought against the king of Uruk. It was about power, about land, about control. From that point on, war never really stopped. It evolved. Weapons got better, armies got bigger, strategies became more complex. And now, in the modern world, war is something we live with every day. But here's the thing. War is not natural. It's not inevitable. It's a choice. Think about your own brain for a moment. That feeling you get when someone insults your family or your country, that flash of anger, that's your ancient brain talking. That's the part of you that wants to fight. But you also have a newer brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part that thinks ahead, the part that considers consequences, the part that can say, this is not worth it. So when did humans start going to war? The answer is complicated. It started a long time ago, maybe 13,000 years ago at Jebel Sahaba, maybe 10,000 years ago at Nataruk, maybe 7,000 years ago at the Rhine Valley. But it also didn't start. Because for all those years, most humans lived without war. They had conflicts, they had violence, but they didn't have organized war. The real answer is that war is not something we inherited from our ancestors. It's not in our DNA. It's something we invented. And like anything we invent, we can choose to use it or we can choose not to. The first war happened when someone decided to organize violence, and the next war will happen when someone decides the same thing. But here's the part that might keep you up tonight. Your brain is still that ancient brain. It's still scanning for threats. It's still dividing people into us and them. It's still ready to fight. But you are not your ancestors. You have something they didn't have. You have knowledge. You have empathy. You have the ability to choose. So when you see that news report tonight, remember this. War is not a fact of life. It's a decision. It started when someone decided to organize violence. And it will end when enough people decide to stop. The question isn't, when did humans start going to war? The question is, when will we finally decide to stop? That decision lives inside your brain right now, right this moment. You're not watching from your living room. You're not scrolling past. You're part of the story. The question is what you'll do with that.